Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time in the bottom left corner featuring MiTender, our red Protoss, and in the top right we have vVvTuff. I'm going to go with Tough for this one because I think the V's are, capitalized in that fashion, more for our aesthetic purposes, not so much for any actual vocal reasons. I don't think we're actually supposed to pronounce them, and that's the important thing to talk about today. Yeah, we're on Daybreak. It's a PvT, so that's going to be neat. We're going to see the different advantages inherent to Terran playing off in the mid game. Maybe we'll see late game Protoss show its muscle, or we can see Terran kind of capitalize on that mid game superiority and pull out with an early win, or we'll just see some sort of cheese and this will all be over incredibly quickly, which is what she said. Oh, she's such a whore. SCV building a supply depot up just on top of that ramp. Totally standard there for now. There's really not a whole lot to talk about. Pylon placement also pretty standard, keeping it close to the chest. Don't really want to expose it to some sort of drop play. Also, don't really want to put it on the low ground or even near this ramp where those Marines can really use the terrain to their advantage, not really having to force themselves to engage those zealots. 14 supply for the probe moving out just to get a little bit of an early scout on Tough. No early gas out of Tough just yet, so no early cheese as far as the unit composition is concerned. Barracks and supply depot completing that wall off. So the early scout coming out of Ender really isn't going to be very helpful, except he's going to come up to a fully completed wall at about the 230 mark, and that might tell him that he could expect some sort of early gas being grabbed. Yeah, there is one gas, but that's not the end of the world. It actually can be expected. Oh no, good control there by Tough, getting that supply depot raised by the time that probe arrived, seeing that the SCV had cleared it. There's no reason to keep it down. Might as well lift it up. Very cool idea. He's actually celebrating. That's nice. I like that. So the barracks going to town, making a Marine. That Marine will be basically added protection against the late scout from MiTender. That probe is going to have to return totally empty-handed to his masters, I guess, his executor. The SCV will arrive to see that the double gas production is underway for MiTender. His cybernetics core is much more than halfway done, so there's probably no hidden tech around the way, but that early gas has got him worried. I mean, maybe that probe disappeared from his home base to go and plant a pylon down here in the bottom right corner. There's going to be some sort of hidden tech later on. Probe sacrificing himself in just to see what sort of expansion Tough is trying to grab. Is there command center being built down there, or is there bunker on the low ground? Both of those things could indicate some sort of expansion earlier rather than later. It doesn't see either of them. It does see a Marine in a bit more of an aggressive stance rather than a passive one, but that doesn't tell you too much, because at this level of play, that's pretty common, is to really play your cards out on the table. Really, you take some risks with your units for some sort of big reward, which is what we can see Ender's doing with this zealot. I mean, he's moving him out very exposed out on the field. Is going to be taking watchtowers to look for the sort of scouting SCVs that Tough is actually suiciding into the main base. Just barely saw that the gateway was producing something. Didn't get over to check behind the mineral line, which is where you'd expect to see a hidden tech. That might scare Tough enough to sacrifice a scan, sacrifice some minerals, but it's unlikely. He did see that cybernetics core was being built. He saw that the probe was moving down to the low ground to plant that nexus, so wow. No, Ender's not going for an early expansion. He's actually just scouting around to see if there is some sort of proxy play. Proxy factory at this point, probably. Two Marauders are out on the field. There goes the bunker to protect the command center, which is being built for Tough. Both players actually going for pretty much identical expansions at pretty much the exact same time. The command center going to be finishing, 20 seconds, 30 seconds before the Nexus. Not the biggest deal in the world. Certainly nothing that either player can bounce back from, no problem at all. Secondary gas for Tough being grabbed now, and he's going to be spending that extra gas on upgrades for his Bioforce. It looks like 3 barracks. Total stim already underway for that tech lab. And, oh wow, a Reaper moving out into the common ground. So that Reaper will be moving off and is going to be seeing what sort of harassment he can do. Quite a lot of range already out on the field. The sentries aren't going to have too much of a problem against that Reaper as long as they attack in mass. If one Reaper goes against one sentry, it's probably going to go in the favor of the Reaper, as well as the Stalker. Really nice positioning for that Stalker to watch that high ground to see if that Reaper does attempt to jump up from there. Also a robotics facility being built behind the mineral line, so he really wants to prevent that Reaper from suiciding into the mineral line to get that scout on that robotics facility to see what sort of tech is also underway. Oh wow, a Twilight Council also being built, so that Twilight Council will be very helpful in dealing with that sort of harassment. A very nice play by Ender, positioning his sentries in the area that you'd expect the Reaper to jump down from to just do the little bit of damage needed to take him down. Totally shutting down the possibility of that Reaper showing up later, doing another scout. Fantastic play. Speaking of upgrades for Tuff, we were talking about it a little while ago. I thought it was a good transition at the time. 2 engineering base being built just to the right of his main base. He's got a lot of gas saved up, so we can see that that gas is going to be spent on 1-1 for the Bioforce in short order. I suspect a factory being built, it's more likely that factory is going to be used specifically so that he can get a starport out, get out those medevacs, make it so his Marines are far more cost effective in battles. That robotics facility is not producing anything right now. He's probably already produced an observer, right? I mean, he's got an observer, right? Yeah, he's got one observer. He's probably going to have another one underway shortly, but that's probably the only thing that robotics facility is going to be built for quite a while. Can't really afford Colossus just yet, but that would be the natural tech switch given the unit composition that Tuff is fielding currently. He doesn't really have the infrastructure to get up a buttload of Vikings that could deal with Colossus right now. And those Colossus can absolutely chew through Marines, even Marines with +1/+1 and combat shield, to make them even more deadly. There goes the starport and the reactor on the factory. Those two will switch in relatively short order, mass producing those medevacs, making it so these Marines are far more deadly than they actually are. The observer will be moving his way off into the north side of the base, see what sort of infrastructure that Tuff actually has, and that's a really good scout, a very nice play by Ender, scouting exactly what Tuff has, knowing what to expect in the late games, even seeing that the orbital command has been built, that macro command center, because I don't think that Tuff feels secure enough to actually push out with the forces that he has, even though if you look at the units, you know, that they have out on the field, 3 sentries, 1 stalker, 1 zealot, against 14 Marines that are going to have +1/+1 combat shields in short order. Tuff's definitely got the advantage as far as the economy goes, but look at all these gateways. He's got so many gateways. He's got a lot of tech. He's got the Templar Archives more than halfway done with that Storm, which is actually surprising to me. I mean, why would you go for Storm when you could go for Colossus? You already have the robotics facility up. But those Archons can be very cost effective later on. And if Ender is going for a mainly gateway army, that allows him to really capitalize on just how many gateways he can has, open some nice doors with the Warp Prism later on. There goes a beautiful scan from Tuff, seeing that that Templar Archives has a chrono boost on it. He's going to know exactly what's being researched, knows to expect storms, immediately throws down the Ghost Academy. A fantastic play right there by Tuff. There's a Ghost Academy, and that Ghost Academy is going to allow him to EMP the Templars to prevent those storms and also to snipe them. And you can actually, you've seen this matchup before on this map, and it's really neat. You wind up with the stalemate of ghosts down here on the Zelnaga Watchtower, and the High Templars kind of kiting up and down, trying to stay outside of the range of the snipe, but also to get within range so that they can feed back the ghost. Oh, it's really tense, really back and forth, and I expect we're going to see a very cool engagement in just a couple of seconds. Tuff scouting out with his main force, trying to snipe any pylons that are placed in that position. I don't think he knew that this force was there, because he's walked his force directly into some massive storms coming out from Ender, coming out ahead on that resources lost tab, definitely in the lead. And all of a sudden, Tuff is definitely in a very defensive stance right now. Everything is so very weak. One more money storm like that can do the damage that he needs, but Ender does not have the energy necessary to throw down one of those storms. Realizing he doesn't have the energy, he makes 2 Archons. Unfortunately, those Archons will take a little bit of time to create, and during that time, all the Zealots have gone down, all the supporting forces that would make those Archons far more effective. Those force fields really being used in the advantage of Tuff, making it so that the Zealots really couldn't engage those Marines. Really nice stutter step micro, but that is exposing the medevacs to a little bit of damage coming out of Tuff. Tuff's losing a little damage per second with the Zealots going to town on the SCVs, doing quite a lot of damage to the infrastructure, but unfortunately allowing his Archons to go down 54/56. in the lead for Tuff right now, and Tuff is capitalizing on that lead, forcing his Marines into the meat grinder of all those zealots, really chewing them up, forcing them back, trying to go for the snipe on those delicate and exposed High Templars, but he wasn't able to seal the deal. Speaking of sealing the deal, MiTender has taken his third, which is a fantastic idea for him, and it looks like he's going to be taking his fourth down here in the bottom right-hand corner. He's got the money, but I think he's going to be pouring a lot of that money into this continued aggression up here in the top right corner on Tuff's third. Those High Templars just praying for the chance to throw down a beautiful storm, deciding to throw down 2 storms on all those SCVs. Wow, there's so many dead SCVs. All of a sudden, the resources lost tab is swinging in the favor of, I actually don't know. You know, you can do the math and see that Ender is behind, but he just did a fantastic number on that economy, and we 64 over 52. He's definitely in the lead there, as well as in supply. So, yeah, you look at the numbers, and Tuff's ahead, but you look at different numbers, and, you know, you get different things. I don't know. Ender is doing a fantastic job at playing havoc on this third and forcing those Marines to engage in these storms. Another beautiful, beautiful storm there. In fact, those SCVs getting pulled, trying to suicide their way into those High Templars. Those Zealots were there, though, and they were going to chew them up in short order. Just not a lot of Marines out on the field. The medevacs have stayed alive. Tuff is doing a fantastic job at keeping those medevacs alive, even after all this continued aggression, and exposing those medevacs to the possibility of feedback from those High Templars. But those medevacs are spending a lot of their energy keeping the Marines healthy, and so they're not really as vulnerable to the feedbacks as you expect. The Zealots, though, the number of Zealots out on the field right now, there goes the Warp Prism, keeping alive 2 High Templars in its main bay, but allowing the continued warping of those High Templars, the continued warping of those Zealots. Fantastic storm there from Ender, but it looks like all those High Templars have gone down. All of a sudden, Ender does not have the force on the field necessary to repel those 20 Marines, which have stemmed and will be chasing down this Warp Prism. Big loss there for Ender, because that Warp Prism, if it had stayed alive, really could have kept Tuff contained. Even by itself, that Warp Prism could have kept Tuff contained on that third, allowing Ender to safely take this fourth that he's now taking right now. As well as remacroing, getting his units up. It looks like +1/+1 is now on the way, when +3 is beginning for Tuff. Wow, that's a huge difference right there. I mean, we have unupgraded Zealots against +2/+2 Marines with every upgrade you can possibly imagine otherwise. I mean, he's got medevacs, he's got stem, he's got combat shields. These Marines are going to be so incredibly cost effective against these Zealots, especially with +3 finishing before the +1 finishing for Protoss. Tuff's going to be pushing down with a numerically superior force into this Nexus, forcing the cancel, I hope, from Ender. There goes the cancel. Really wants this engagement to take place up here on the high ground, making it so those Marines waltz right into those storms. Not a lot of Marines, but they're supported basically 1-to-1 by these medevacs, which make them incredibly powerful. There goes the kind of suicide snipe from those 2 Marines, trying to lure those High Templars, maybe get 1 or 2 of them dead. But, oh, fantastic storm there, but a nice, better dodge by Tuff. I mean, he was definitely ready for that storm to happen. There goes the feedback on 1 or 2 of the medevacs, one of them only having 25 health remaining. Whoa, 1 health. Oh, it's so close to dying, but there's really not a lot of anti-air in this force. The Archons have to get way too close and will get chewed up by those Marines if they continue to try to take out those medevacs, and the High Templars really want to spend their energy on storm rather than feedbacking these medevacs. And feedbacking might be better in the long run, but those storms are so damn satisfying. Look at the resources lost tab. Yes, again, Ender definitely behind on the resources lost. He's lost quite a lot of money, but he's incredibly ahead on the economy. 87 over 61. These fantastic storms are really just equalizing any amount of money that he loses. He makes back in the fact that he's outmining his opponent, and he's got a tech that's very, very superior. Look at him sniping down 4 or 5 medevacs. All of a sudden, the force that Tuff had that was so intimidating just a couple of seconds ago is in ragtags and is having to pull back. However, it did succeed in denying that 4th Nexus for a very long time, and Terran has succeeded in taking its own 4th, saturating it moderately well with a planetary fortress up on the high ground. And all of a sudden, Tuff, man, that's a lot of Marines. He has a huge number of Marines. 52 of them pushing down, supported by 13 medevacs. It's just a huge fleet, but there goes that storm beginning to cut through those ranks. You can see that 6 of them went down just like that. 1 ghost beginning to be added into the mix. I'd expect to see those ghosts earlier, But so much of that early aggression off in the third made it so that Tuff really had to lay those plans on the wayside and deal with that early aggression first and then go for that higher tech of those ghosts. And because of that, these Archons are really laying into his opponents. Once those ghosts hit the field, their EMPs will really mitigate the damage that those Archons can do, as well as the damage that these High Templars can do, because they're not going to have the energy to storm. Wow, these storms are ridiculous from Ender. They're really the only reason he's still in this game is because his storms have been so effective. +1 is done, +2 is underway, almost done for Ender, and you can see the Colossus is just now, the Colossus production has just now started. One is out, another one is going to be on the way soon, I hope. I don't think it was a misclick for him to make that Colossus. I think he's actually actively switching over to it, because you really haven't seen quite a lot of air units. There goes the feedback, realizing that the ball of Marines really isn't cost effective for him to storm them like that. It's better to spend the energy on that feedback. These Archons and these Zealots can definitely deal significant damage to that ball of Marines. Nice back and forth action, kind of a zigzag from the Marine, stutter stepping away from those Zealots, trying to make it so that they can do enough damage, but I really think they're just being walked into a corner to die. The 5th is being taken by MiTender, and he's also mining quite successfully off of this 4th, having succeeded in dealing with Tuff's harassment and army in its entirety, even positioning an Archon to deal the death blow to those 2 remaining medevacs retreating. Oh, but what's this? Tuff with a supplemental army, this time with ghosts in tow, pushing in. Oh, but he's greeted by a huge number of High Templars, as well as the returning army from MiTender, caught in between the 2 forces. The Marines are quickly cut to shreds. I don't know where the ghost went. I think it EMP'd one of the Archons. 1 or 2 of the Archons, it's AoE. But it looks like once again Tuff is going to lose his entire standing force and will be forced to retreat. Another massive feedback going down on a couple of the medevacs with nothing left to heal. They do start to accumulate all that energy. Extended Thermal Lance will be added into the mix. How many Colossus are we up to? Where are they? Oh, down in the bottom left, maybe hoping to get a more critical number. We really haven't seen him add on too many unit-producing structures. You kind of got that 7-gate up, and then added on 1 or 2 more. Oh, it looks like he's added on 3 back at home. That's going to be helpful to him, because as his economy kind of begins to stretch out into the open, a storm going down on the ghost, not the most cost-effective of energy, but when you can't really see the ghost because you don't have detection in the area, there's not much that you can do. Another feedback going down on those High Templars. You can see that only 3 of them have enough to storm anything. And wow, I didn't realize how much damage that Nexus had taken. Almost only 100 health left. Not a lot at all. Oh, a warp-in of more than a handful of Zealots and some High Templars off in this top left corner. The Planetary Fortress only morphing, not going to be able to deal with that aggression for more than a couple of seconds. Ghost up on the high ground, dropping a nuke down. Got to be very careful of all of these probes. Oh no, there's no detection at all. This is all going to go down. Fantastic awareness by MiTender, pulling them back. Shields almost dropping completely. The Planetary Fortress will finish now that all the SCVs are done. These 2 Zealots not really helping with that aggression at all. But I wonder where the High Templars went. I guess they got surrounded by the SCVs. Still, the Colossus have exposed themselves now. The Cloaked Ghosts are pushing back. MiTender's force not being able to steal the deal against this Planetary Fortress, realizing that static defense is coupled with the harassment from the Ghosts and their abilities to EMP enemies are, they're very powerful against Protoss, especially if they succeed in taking down these Colossus. I mean, those Colossus represent quite a lot of damage. There they go. Finally getting detection from the Observer. Finally arriving on scene. The continued harassment from the Zealots are very surprising. The Planetary Fortress is very resilient. No, MiTender did not warp any new Zealots into play. It was those 2 that were lazy off in the corner. Pardon me. Colossus, still 2 out on the field. One of them weakened, I believe. Again, the Ghost up on the high ground, unfortunately, this time not as successful as his Brethren, which did get that nuke off. Nice little installation right here for Tuff, kind of locking down the multiple different pathways that you can take into this, and also producing SCVs in mass to resaturate the different expansions that Tuff has. Right now, every player has every base except for this one in the bottom right corner, and it looks like MiTender heard me because he's going to be taking that one too. Looks like a little bit of a back and forth here. The High Templars really trying to feedback those ghosts before they can do anything. There's 0 anti-air here, though. Oh, and a nice land from the Vikings, doing some massive damage to those High Templars, tearing them apart. We have absolutely no casters except for 1 from MiTender, and with the absence of Archons, there's no anti-air to protect those Colossus, and those Colossus are going to go down. Now, fortunately, they've retreated to the point where those photon cannons actually defend them, but you got to be very careful with those Colossus, because they're going to be very exposed to the absence of anti-air from Protoss, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more stalkers be added into the mix. Here's 3 of them right now trying to make their way behind the mineral line to outrange that planetary fortress. Just barely out of range, going to begin to do some significant damage to those SCVs and hopefully work on this oversaturation of SCVs. Maybe that's actually going to do Tuff a favor because he's almost maxed. He actually needs to lose a couple of those SCVs because, oh no, you know what? He doesn't really have a bank. He kind of needs those SCVs. I don't know. You don't really expect to see somebody at 74 harvesters. You also don't expect somebody at triple digits. 99 harvesters is absolutely a huge number. And I think Ender agrees because he's going to be pushing out with his, sacrificing them to the planetary fortress. And I'm so glad they have kill counters now. Medevac's going to be healing the SCVs at the same time. Counter push from Tuff down in the bottom right corner is going to be taking out the infrastructure there. That Nexus was not saturated. And again, no anti-air. Those Colossus go down before doing any damage to this force. Tuff is going to be able to take on that force with minimal, that Nexus with minimal effort. Oh, massive storm, but one of the storms going down almost exclusively on the Zealots. Again, Tuff splitting up his forces, half of them going to town on the Nexus, the other half drawing storms from the High Templars. All of a sudden, all the High Templars are out of energy, and these Marines have free range. Oh, we're going to get a huge snipe down on those High Templars. A big win there for Tuff, not having to worry about those those High Templars, because it looks like all of them are being spent on those Archons. Again, now he's got anti-air, but he doesn't have any Colossus to defend with that anti-air, so that's okay. Marines pushing in pretty much unaccosted against that weakened Nexus. Can't afford for the shields to fall for a second, but it looks like there's more than enough Zealots here to deal with all of these Marines. Charged just absolutely beautifully, destroying everything. I wonder what sort of tech switch we can expect to see from Tuff. He's got the +3 weapons, but is that just for the Vikings? Is that because he's had +3/3 on his Marines for so long he needed to do some sort of upgrade? Looks like this Nexus is getting ready to fall, but another counter push from Ender saves it just in time. Plenty of High Templars pushing in, feedbacking all of the medevacs, making it so there is nothing to heal these Marines, and all of a sudden they completely fall down. 200 over 200 down to 100 over 150 for Ender and Tuff in the favor of Ender. I wonder whose resources lost tab. Yeah, he's still very much... Wow, no, wait a second. Resources lost tab for Ender is definitely ahead. Proving to be far more cost effective with these relatively cheap Zealots, as well as the Archons, the High Templars expending their charge, their storm, and then morphing into those Archons has proven to be very cost effective and is really just winning in the game. It's very surprising to see something with so little anti-air doing so well against Terran, but he's using his High Templars to feed back those medevacs, keeping that number down, and then relying on the Archons to seal the deal, doing just the small amount of damage necessary to finish them off in the relatively small cases. I don't know if he's going to be successful in taking out this expansion. Yeah, he will. I don't know. Tuff pushing in again with another counter force, but it looks like he's swinging off into the high ground to deal some damage to the High Templars rather than dealing with the Archons, which took out that planetary fortress. Now that this base is completely gone, it looks like Terran is down on only 3 bases, and the same can be said for Protoss. Oh no, they're only on 2. A little bit in the advantage of Tuff, but look at that bank. Ender doesn't need a mine for anything for quite a while. He does have a lot of harvesters. He needs another base to correctly use them. It looks like he's going to be taking this bottom right-hand corner again. But he needs to keep it alive. And he's spread kind of thin. He's got 1 base on the top left corner and 1 base on the bottom right corner. And Terran really only has to worry about these 2. That's kind of in Terran's favor because he can choose carefully where his engagements are going to be happening and successfully kite Protoss around. Unfortunately, Protoss has a massive, massive lead, 175 over 107. He's got a massive amount of, just so much money saved up. Tuff is in a lot of trouble. And yeah, that's basically where we stand here. Tuff has the infrastructure. He's got a little bit of money. But he needs to spend that money down, get up a force, and deny the expansion that Ender is trying to get in the bottom right corner. And it looks like he's going to succeed in pushing back the harassment that Ender is using to keep Tuff contained. But all that's doing is buying Ender enough time to get this base up to capitalize on the economic lead that he's got right now. 2 different nukes being called down. I wonder if they're both bases. I wonder where the other one is. I don't know. But it looks like they got canceled or died. Rather, the ghost getting cut down by that observer. The installation in the middle of the map is going to go down. It looks like Tuff is repositioning his units down in the bottom right corner to take down that 4th. But with Ender in the middle of the map, he'll be able to quickly reinforce that area as long as he doesn't push north. And if he does push north, guess what? He's going to take out both of the mining installations for the cost of one of his own. He's definitely going to come out of a win there. A couple stalkers, a couple zealots being warped in, buy a little bit of time for Ender to take out this base. It looks like he's splitting up his stalkers to go farther north than the rest of his more traditional army of Colossus and Zealots. That planetary fortress will be cut absolutely to pieces. The SCV's doing their best to keeping it alive, but those Colossus just doing too much anti-air damage. The Nexus does go down. Tuff scoring a win there, and look at that production tab. He's got so much on the way. 4 Archons on the way for Ender, though, and I mean, he's got so much money left over, and look at that supply lead. Ender pulling back, realizing that this base is probably mined out completely. At this point, it's pretty much mined out. But he's also got to worry about this, which is Tuff continuing to press his advantage. He only has Marines with this force. The Medevac's a little bit out of position, keeping these guys alive. Oh, but these Archons going down to the bottom right corner to arrive just a little bit late to the party to save that 4th base. The High Templars doing their best to keep them alive. Supplemental warping of Stalkers. Look at that, the top left corner. Base has gone completely down from Ender's continued aggression with these Stalkers. Them are coming home weary of heart. But the second mining base. This one has just now been established. You can see the mules had been dropped down moments before, but these zealots are going to go to town and will succeed in getting it to burn. Unfortunately, the repair from the mules will keep it alive to fight another day. But Tuff will not arrive with a large enough force to push back Protoss, and it looks like Protoss has succeeded in crushing Tuff. He's got no money left. He's got absolutely no standing force capable of dealing with Ender, and Ender was, in great shape. He was just continuing to push through the infrastructure that Ender had. It's going to be rough for him. That was a great game. Thank you, Ender, for posting this. Thank you, Tuff, for playing this. Thank you for watching this. If you guys have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.